Hello, welcome to our beautiful capital city of Czech Republic, and let's together visit the Prague's branch of GuideVision. Hello and welcome in the Czech branch of GuideVision. I'm here with Radek. Welcome.
Thank you very much for invitation.
And maybe you start with what is your position in the Czech branch here?
Okay. Well, my position, I started here as the managing director of the branch. That was 4 years ago. Now I'm the CEO of the entire company. But I still feel a strong affinity to the Czech branch because obviously these are the people I'm working with on a daily basis. So I'm not only taking care of the entire company, but somehow also taking into consideration the needs of the team here in Czech Republic.
You already answered my next question, but maybe let's get back to it. You said you were here for 4 years?
Yes.
And what was your career path within the GuideVision? How did you work, or what did you do before?
So before GuideVision, I was for quite a long time, 14 years in Deutsche Post DHL. And at a certain point in time, I realized I no longer want to work in a corporation. I just want to go back to a smaller company where it's more like a family culture, family business. It's about getting things done rather than thinking about the corporate politics and getting things, through all sorts of approvals, etc., etc. And at the point in time, I met the founders of GuideVision. And they were looking for the managing director of the Czech branch. I said, okay, sounds good, sounds interesting. Let me try. So that's how I started here 4 years ago. And it turned out it was a very, very good choice because here we really just focus on getting things done. We don't do any politics here and any stuff like that. And somehow naturally, because we actually didn't have like a proper former CEO of the entire company, it was just a bunch of the managing directors. I slowly but surely kind of got into the position of taking care of the others as well. So when we just formally renamed the position, it was just a formal act, no more than that. But I still consider doing pretty much the same job I've been doing since the very beginning, since 4 years ago.
You said slowly. I don't think becoming a CEO of a company in 4 years, it's slowly. I think it's pretty fast for some people. Maybe, they work for the entire life. So can you say you're proud of yourself for achieving this position to be the CEO?
No, I don't care what the position says, what the title says. I'm definitely not proud of having these letters somehow associated with my name or anything like that. It's more about the work that we are doing here. And let's say comparing where the company is today compared to where it was 4 years ago. And I could say I'm proud of what we've achieved here or where we are going, what the team has done, because I think we have done a lot. 4 years ago, this was a company which was about 40%, 35% of the size what it is today, so it was much smaller. We had many less customers than we have today, less people. We were not so present on, let's say, Western markets like Germany, like Nordics, like Finland, Swedish, like we are today. So there's certainly been a lot of progress. The company has also matured. People hate those words, but we have many more processes than we had before, which unfortunately is needed when the company grows. And of course, there are still many things ahead of us that we still have to do. So that's what I'm proud of, that there is an evolution, that the company today and the company 4 years ago, these are two different places.
You already said what you're proud of in the company. There's many things, of course, but what about the team you're working with? Are you proud of them? How would you describe the team working here in GuideVision in Czech Republic?
Right. The team is pretty much everything. That's what defines us, because that's what we sell to the customer. That's the people and their knowledge and their ability to work, their ability to grow, to learn, to become better and better every day. That's what really is the most important thing for us. And I'm very proud of them. They are really, really fantastic bunch of people. If you look at, let's say, the team I'm closely working with, like my direct reports, we've recently changed the structure a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy to say, right now, this is a bunch of people that all pull in one direction, and really their only wish and goal is let's get things done together as a team, collaborate very, very strongly. I must admit that wasn't the case in the past. In the past, sometimes we had some issues, and that's now thanks God, fixed, which is great. And for me, I mean, it's a pleasure because working with people like that, it's just making my life so easy. We just meet every morning and we just focus on, okay, what do we need to do? Instead of, I don't like this guy or I don't like that guy or yesterday, something happened to me and therefore I cannot do. You know what? We don't want to have these things here, and we don't have them today, which is great.
So maybe you're even choosing people that can work together, that you
Yes.
know, like they will fit as a people also.
Yes. I mentioned that we've recently changed the structure a little bit. And actually, when we were doing that together with the founders, obviously looking at what are the criteria, we have a position and who do you put in that position? Who do you assign into that position? Usually you need to look at what kind of skills the people have, what kind of experience they have, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we looked at all of that, but then we realized the most important factor is how can this person or that person work with the others? Is that a person who is like a solo player or is it a team player? Does he have a good relationship with the others or not? Or does she have a good relationship with the others or not? And it was really the main criteria, and I think it was a good decision to do it this way because it really brings fruits.
How would you describe the corporate culture you have here?
Corporate culture? Well, I hope we don't call it corporate yet. Maybe company culture?
Maybe. That's right. You said
That's
you
a
don't
big
want
question.
to work in a corporate. So
Yes,
let's
yes. And many of the colleagues around here would say, corporate, no.
Okay, just
we
a
don't want
company.
that. Yeah. That's a bad word in this company. Corporate smells bad, But obviously, as we grow, we are getting closer to this corporate world. But the culture changes as well. So I don't think there is an easy answer like, what is the culture? Because I think it's changing over the time, which may be a good thing and bad thing. But what is it that we want to retain, what we want to keep is still this culture of like a small, like a family business. I don't think we can recall each other's names anymore because there is more than 300 of us. But still, we want to have that atmosphere like we are like family, a bunch of people who know each other very well also outside of the professional worlds, like many people around here like are very close friends. People even get married, etc. And I think that's part of our culture. That's one important part of our culture. The other important part of our culture that we want to retain for the future is focus on the professionality and the knowledge, that we do our best. We just try to do the best we can, and that's how we also want to differentiate either against our competitors when we, let's say, somehow engage with our customers. We want to be able to say, look, we do much better job than the others. Or when it comes to us presenting the company, let's say, to future colleagues. Let's say you want to apply for the position in this company, you would like to understand what is it like, right, to work in this company. And we want you to understand that we really focus a lot on you becoming much better professional, let's say in the next 2 years, 3 years. So giving you lots of development opportunities, giving you lots of opportunities to learn new stuff, to get new trainings, to experience interesting projects, work with other really, really highly qualified, highly skilled people and learn from them. So that's definitely an important part of our culture as well.
You're talking about people learning. So is there any possible in-house development? Do you have something like that for the people working for you?
Yeah. I would even say this is probably key success factor of this company or one of the differentiators compared to the other companies. ServiceNow, which is the business we do, there is a huge ecosystem of partners. Lots of companies are partners to ServiceNow, pretty much doing the implementations of this platform with the customers. Many struggle with where do we get the people? Because you cannot recruit, you can't just post an ad, say, well, I'm looking for a ServiceNow consultant. No one will come. And if someone comes, they will have ridiculous expectations in terms of salaries, etc. So you have to find someone who doesn't have that knowledge, but you need to be able to train the person. All the partners struggle with that. I would say we are doing excellent job there because the founders already realized many years ago when this company started that this is going to be the key thing. And we set at that time something called adaptation program, which is for the newcomer who joins the company, we just teach them everything. And it was the beginning. And then obviously over the years we evolved this concept. So we have not just what we had at the beginning, but we have much more thorough kind of series of trainings. We still call it adaptation program, but it's much more diversified. It depends on your seniority, your knowledge that you have at the beginning, on the job that you are taking. If you are project manager or consultant or developer, tester, whatever, there are different, let's say, ways how we can teach you, how we can train you. Or if you are with the company already and let's say you've been doing a certain job for a few years and then you realize, well, maybe I want to move my career a little bit differently. Again, we can help you with that because we train you in the other direction. And it's just the basics. We do many, many more things. Then we do something we call Radar, which we are very proud of. It's like an internal conference where people actually meet and we like talk to each other and we make presentations. We have like traditional conference like setup. So imagine you are a newcomer and you are uncomfortable speaking of other people. You can make a presentation to your colleagues in the safe environment. No one will laugh at you. No one will try to make you feel embarrassed or anything like that. You learn, and the next time you can use it when talking to the customer. Very beneficial. Or you have learned something new that the others don't know, because maybe there is a new release of the platform, there is a new feature, new something, right? You learn that, you spend a lot of time actually trying to understand that, and then you share it with your colleagues. Again, they learn from you. So I think this is a very, very like powerful tool, how people build a kind of team, the friendships, help each other, improve their knowledge, test, as I said before, like in a safe environment, lots of things they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So that helps a lot. And yeah, we have started 2 years ago managerial courses, because the more we are, the more managers we have, or leaders, team leaders, people that need to take care of the other people. And we are all technicians, pretty much, all of us, including myself. Someone needs to tell us how to do these things properly. So we need to get some trainings on that as well. So we actually started a series of managerial trainings, again, from the very, very beginning. Let's say you one day say, well, I'd be happy to maybe take care of a few of my colleagues, like act as a team leader, but I don't know how to do that. So we help you with that. We put you through some trainings, and then you're gonna get a coach or a colleague who can help you actually with that, answer any questions you have. We call it a buddy system. And I've forgotten many other things. We have plenty.
But there is always a path that me as a person who works here wants to go further. You'll help me with that.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
And also, you've been talking about friendship here because you said it's teams. It sounds more like a family to me. Do you do something in the company here to help the people become friends? Because I've seen there's a table behind me on the wall, and I've seen you're doing some outside parties or something like that.
Yeah. Thanks God, COVID is no longer with us. Yeah. So we are back to this, I would say, regular cycle of, doing a lot of these things. There is actually several approaches. One is obviously something driven by the company, where we have things like Christmas parties, we have team buildings, all sorts of stuff, which obviously we try to do the best we can, and hopefully people like it. I think mostly they do, but I would say that would not be sufficient if we just did that. So there is more. We try to somehow encourage the teams themselves that they can come up with their own idea and just do whatever they want on their own. It may only be a small team, it may be a country event or a couple of teams or something which is company-wide. And what we are trying to do is make sure that there are no barriers, or maybe there is even a support from the company. So I remember it was actually, 3 years ago or whatever, one of the colleagues came up with an idea, why don't we have something like Summer Olympics? Oh, great idea. What do you think? What would you do, right? So they came up actually themselves with an idea, okay, let's form some teams and we will come up with some disciplines and people will race against each other and we will somehow calculate the points and will be 4 or 5 cycles maybe. And at the end, somewhere in September, we will say who's the winner and we give them some prizes, etc. Would you as a company, how would you support that? So, okay, let's buy some nice prizes that people will enjoy. Let's make sure obviously that, you have time for that. So you don't have to take holiday for it, for example, and stuff like that. And I think it was a very successful concept, and it worked, and we still run that. I hope we will run another one this year again. Or recently, colleagues came up with something like get-together parties that actually take place in this office, just behind the wall over there. And every Thursday afternoon, one of the teams organizes just a party for the others whoever wants to join will join, and people just have fun, work together. They can play PlayStation there, do whatever they want, stay here as long as they want, right? And they love it, they enjoy that. Or we try to do, and it was also, I think, an idea of the people, but now it's driven by the company. We call it Summer Cottage, where we actually rent a house. It started with the house which was next to the sea, like in Croatia. Then it turned out it's a little bit too far for everyone, so we started looking for locations that are kind of closer to everyone, like reachable, for people from Poland, from Hungary, from Germany, so that it's not far for all. And we rent that cottage for 2 months, 3 months, 2.5 months or so over the summer. And people can go there, like the teams. There is always place for maybe 10 people, 10, 15 people. They somehow arrange the teams themselves. Usually these would be like the project teams, because the way we work is that people have their like local teams where, they are under a team leader, like let's say in the classical structure, but not projects. They work with people from other countries, and they don't have an opportunity to meet each other so
just
often.
Online.
Just online, yeah. So they actually go to this cottage, and that's where they work together as the project team, which is a great opportunity for them to actually spend few days together, and they work there, and they have fun there, and they go swimming,
like
or they
vacation.
drink, kind of working vacation. I would say very, very successful concept. So yeah, we do plenty other things. Like last year we were creative, and we didn't want to have a Christmas party because we didn't know if COVID would somehow damage it again, but we didn't want to cancel it either. So okay, let's make Christmas party on Halloween. So it turned out to be a Halloween party, and it was fun. So yeah, generally I would say really it's even better if we just provide this support as a company, and we let people come up with their own ideas and then try to support it as much as we can, because that's what the team loves the most, and that works the best for them.
When I hear this, I just wish I knew IT, because I would want to work here, going to working vacation to cottage in, some place near ocean. That might be nice.
You can join us. You don't even need to know IT.
We'll talk about that later. Well, let's now talk more about you as a person. You're not just a boss, but maybe one more thing I would like to ask about this position is, do you work on yourself, like some self-development? I know it's part of the company, but do you like read books, how to manage people and stuff like this? Or you already know everything?
No, I don't know everything. I know nothing. I do read. I try to take some courses every now and then. I have a cycle which started like 20 years ago, roughly, that every few years I realize I need to get coached on something. There is a topic that I'm somehow struggling with or whatever, so I'm trying to get a coach, like a professional coach, and work with that person for half a year, to actually break through that trouble, right, and learn more about how to do these certain things or how to learn about it. So that's what I'm doing on a regular basis, and I'm actually right now taking some coaching, like again, after a few years. And then I do believe a lot in learning by doing. Even though I love books and I read a lot, actually, a lot of it is other books, not like professionally related. But I think it's important just to go and try those things and learn by doing. Make mistake, fair enough, that's okay. But don't repeat the mistake, just learn from it, right? And then go and try something new again, and then again learn the lessons. That is very important. The trouble I see, like if you are like in a position like I am, it's difficult to get feedback. It's not easy. I ask you, how am I doing my job, right?
Everybody will say
you will
good.
not get a useful answer. You will not get a useful answer. So it's very difficult to actually get the feedback, so that you have like a gauge. Am I doing a good job, or am I not doing a good job, right? And I'm having my doubts all the time. So maybe the most important part of me personally trying to evolve myself is actually, how do I get relevant feedback, something that really helps me, because someone tells me, actually, this is not good what you just did. Do it differently next time. It's very difficult to get this kind of feedback in my position.
So you need to do it for yourself, and that's not easy.
Yes, but that's not always objective, right? Even though I'm trying, I know I'm just a human being, so I'm not always objective for sure. So I may be sugarcoating things and saying, it wasn't that bad, but actually maybe it really sucked. So I'm trying to encourage people like to give me feedback, and some do. thanks God, some of the colleagues here don't have an issue just telling me like, this was good, but this was not good. But it's not easy, and then obviously family helps a lot. Because, or friends, let's say, outside of the company, but who somehow know me professionally, or I know them professionally, and we can consult things. Or this is actually what this coaching is good for, because that coach, like the one I'm working with right now, he knows the company, but he's not part of the company, he's outside. But he knows us well enough, he's been working with us for quite some time. So I can go to such a person and say, you know what's going on here, you know how people act, how I act, you've seen it, tell me, what can I do better? And that's where I get really, really useful feedback.
Well, the company looks like it's working really good, so I think you're doing a good job. So
I don't know.
But still, there's always something to work on.
Definitely.
You've been talking about the friendship here. What about you? Did you become a friends with someone here, like the best friends? It's not just the colleague, but you have the friendship here?
That's a tricky question. Naturally, I try to have friendship with people and have as many friends around here as possible. Obviously, there are barriers. For some, it may be complicated, like, oh, this guy, I cannot be a friend to our CEO. And there is also a barrier, I must admit, from my side, because I need to be able to make decisions where I must not take into account the fact that someone is my friend. Let's say someone is doing really, really bad job, and I need to give a negative feedback to that person, or negative, maybe constructive feedback, like, you need to improve something. If he or she is my best friend, I may find it very difficult. So I'm trying to balance those two kind of ways of approaching people. Yeah, I do have some people here that I've even known much longer than the 4 years in GuideVision, because we may know each other from the past. So there's a couple of people like that here. I think I can consider them good friends. Hopefully they would tell you the same. I don't know, you need to ask them.
We'll ask.
And of course also people that I've met here, some, especially those that we've somehow spent more time with, or had a couple of beers or so. There is a certain level of friendship. But I do admit that kind of intentionally, I think there needs to be an ability to really differentiate between those two things. Like, now we may be friends, we may have a beer, but then when it comes to business, we must act professionally, irrespective of our friendship.
And this balancing is really hard, right? To keep it on the friendship,
it may
but
be.
Also to be the boss.
Yeah, it may be. It may be hard. I remember, I will obviously not name the colleague, but a colleague here there was a performance issue. And at the same time, I kind of thought, well, I wouldn't say we were like friends, like 100%, but there was certain, let's say, affinity. And then I knew he had some issues happening in the family, quite serious stuff. And then how do you deal with a situation like this? You want to support that person. You have to appreciate that, something's happening in his or her private life, but at the same time, you just cannot ignore that there is a performance issue and it needs to be somehow improved. So you need to act very, very carefully with a lot of delicacy included, and not to cause any damage to the individual. And I think in situations like this is really more important than, friendship. Yeah, this is complicated.
Yeah, well, it has to be. But that's your position, so it comes with that also, and you have to deal with it. Maybe on a more personal level now, if you have a day off, vacation, are you the person who works on vacation also, who is sitting on the beach with the computer and still doing the calls, even though your wife is not happy about it? Or are you the one who just put it away and enjoy the day off?
When I was in my 30s, I was like this until I got in trouble. I mean, I had health issues. Nothing serious, thanks God, but it taught me a lesson. Don't do that. So I'm now intentionally trying not to do that. So every time I take a day off or week off or 2 weeks off, it's always like, guys, I'm not here. You know what to do. And please call me only in case of emergency. Obviously, this is the ideal state. Yes, sometimes I'll be on holiday and I'll pick up a phone, or someone will, need something. So I'm there. I'm not gonna pretend I'm not here. You call me and I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, no. Just go on your own. I'll respond. But I try to minimize this as much as possible because I think it's not healthy. Not only that, personally, I do need that time to relax. I do need to recharge my batteries. And I'm asking my colleagues to do exactly the same. I don't expect them to be working while on holiday. And when I see someone responding to emails too much over the holiday, I'm just saying, don't respond to this email, right? I want this response once you're back from your holiday. Enjoy your holiday. This is not an emergency. This is not a life or death matter. So I think it's important that people really do recharge their batteries. And it's also important to make sure that we should all be replaceable. If I disappear today, the company needs to continue running, right? It must not rely on me being here all the time. That would be me totally failing in my job. So when I'm off and it's planned, nothing should happen, right?
Are you the person that sometimes forgets to take a holiday and you're like, oh, I haven't been off work for a long time, so do you take it often?
Yeah, after this episode I mentioned before, it's quite some time ago, I never forget about holiday. It's all well planned in advance. And I'm always looking forward to, okay, the holiday is coming next week, okay, a few more days and I'm gonna enjoy that. Definitely not. And the reason is not only the stuff I mentioned before, but it's also time with family. Because that's irreplaceable. That's unique. You know, the kids grow. You cannot turn the time back. You cannot just rewind like, okay, now I have time. So let's make you 5 years old again and let's enjoy together, right? That time is gone. So this is probably the most important reason. So it needs to be planned and must not be forgotten. And the other thing is that there are also hobbies, right? Things that one likes. And I think there needs to be a balance between, you know, the professional life and the private life, and just ignoring one or the other is not good.
What is your hobbies? What do you do when you're off, like not on vacation, laying on the beach, but what do you do outside of work?
Many.
You've said reading, you have family, you're working, so there's not much time left. So what do you squeeze in there?
Spend some time with family, for sure. Whatever we do, we have to do it together. So that's, I don't know if it's a hobby, but I just wanna have that time together. Meaning, not that we sit next to each other on the beach, each looking into our own phone, but really having a conversation like this, or going out for a dinner together, or having some trip somewhere together, or whatever, just do it together. Go skiing together. So I may slow down to make sure that my daughter can catch up with me. That was actually years ago. Now she needs to slow down, make sure that I can catch up with her. So that's definitely one. The other thing, then I have kind of a passion in certain risk-taking activities, like, I don't know, diving with sharks or flying paraglide. And I cannot ask my family to do that with me. So for that, I have other friends. So I join those friends, which means, again, some long-term maintenance of friendship with some other people. And then we go for crazy trips like this.
Yeah, diving with shark is kind of crazy.
It's I can recommend. It's a
No.
life-changing experience.
Yeah, well.
Life-changing experience, and it's fantastic. So that's a big hobby, doing all sorts of outdoor activities like this. It needs to be outdoor. It needs to be outdoor. I wouldn't do anything like this indoor. I just need to be out there, you know, on the sea or in the air or whatever. And then reading a book. Typically, my family holiday starts like the first 2 days or 3 days. I will read a couple of books.
In 3 days?
Yeah, like maybe 1 or 2 a day. So I'm very bad husband, very bad parent to my kids at that time. But that will kind of satisfy my need to read something, and then I'm there with them. So book reading is a very big one as well.
But it has to be small ones. How can you read 2 books in a day?
I read fast. You know, if you start 7 a.m., 8 a.m. in the morning, once you wake up, and you read like really like all the time, while eating, while being on the beach, while walking somewhere, you can easily make 1 or 2 books a day. Yeah, that's possible.
I cannot do that. It takes me a month to read a book, but I'll try next time.
That's like my wife, she reads books in the evening, and that's where you usually have 5-10 minutes, right? And then you fall asleep.
Yeah.
So then it takes ages. No. So not this kind of book reading.
Okay. You've been talking about your family a lot. So you have kids. Do you want them to follow your path, to be maybe CEO of some company? Or do you think it's totally up to them? Or are you trying to, show them the good way? Or
I definitely do not want them to be a CEO of a company. If they want to be, fair enough. So I want them to do whatever they want. That's the most important thing. There is a little catch in that. They need to know what they want. So that would probably be a thing I would say, okay, I want them to be like me, because I never had this problem. I always knew what I wanted to do. And it was always about doing something that makes some sense, that there is some purpose or there is some meaning, right? So I'm telling them, please, whatever that is, I don't care. As long as you know what you want to do and you find some passion for it, you like it, forget about money, forget about what others tell you, forget about if anyone's expecting you to do something. That is not important. What is important is what you want, because you will enjoy that. Once you enjoy that, you feel good, you enjoy that, and you'll probably be also very good in that, because you'll probably do a lot to actually be good in that, because you enjoy that. That's what I want them to do. And if they happen to go in IT, which doesn't seem to be the case, by the way, fair enough. If they manage some company, fair enough, that's not important, as long as they like it.
I think that's good. That's how it's supposed to be, then forcing them into something they wouldn't want. Maybe get some secret from you. Can you tell us some guilty pleasure you have?
Guilty pleasure?
Yes.
So I mentioned one already, like, things like shark diving or whatever.
Is it a guilty pleasure? Isn't it more like craziness a little bit?
Maybe.
For some people.
But it relates to the other guilty pleasure.
Which is?
It's definitely guilty because people hate it about me. And it's sort of pleasure because I do like doing that. I'm very stubborn sometimes.
Okay.
And like, I'm happy to go, beat my head against the wall there is a reason, right? Maybe for a higher principle or something. And everybody will tell me, just stop doing that. It makes no sense, right? You're not gonna get anything out of that. And you're just causing chaos or whatever. You're gonna damage yourself or damage people around you. But sometimes I just can't avoid it. And I just have to do that because I believe it must be done, right? So that's definitely a big guilty pleasure of mine. I'm trying to keep it somehow under control, but when it triggers, it's unstoppable.
Okay.